Okay, thank you for, first of all, I'd like to thank Kyoto University for inviting me to join this WENDI UNESCO Share celebration today. Our UNESCO Share started in 2016, and our main target is to have a collaboration among the ASEAN countries in a certain issue. I try to explain how we do the research, and this will change to the policy and also with some collaboration among the ASEAN member countries. So what the issue in Thailand, we also have been decide what is the main issue, and we set this issue and try to test in the Nan Basin which one of the main river basin in the country. This is a topic that we are like to report. Normally, for the water, we concentrate on the how much we use and how about supply and demand. But our research try to bring back to the each provinces how much GDP or GPP they have, and we make a correlation between the water use and also the GDP that each country, the province have, and we found it's quite a good correlation in that area. And again, when we want to go with the future, we are trying to put on the new future driver. So we have three main things in the country. That's agriculture base, which we have a lot of agriculture product export outside, and we also have the industry, which now we are trying to decide a new industry cluster located in somewhere. So they also, on the whole country, the GDP of the agriculture is about 10%, while we have about 30% is from the industry, 20% is from the tourists, and then maybe another 10% for others. So these are the mixed economies of the country. So each year we have about 30 million tourists coming to our country. So we are focusing to have more in that area. But again, if we look at the GDP growth, you can see that before we have about 10% in before, but after we have a big flood, this one become minus. And after that, we can see that there are fluctuation. And we found that the main causes of the average GDP has become 3% something. Mainly is because of the disaster. So the real growth is about 5%, but every 2 or 3 years we have about disaster, big disaster, that will reduce to 3%. So this is main things that we found that even the economy is so strong, but if you don't manage disaster well, the average GDP will drop. Certain things. So that's what we are finding the research, that how the country can grow. Then we go back to the nature. So there's a lot of fluctuation because of the climate change and also the climate changing. So the fluctuation of the peak and also the minimum become larger in the last 5 or 10 years. And again, we have the control of the structure like the dam operation, which now we have to review to fit with the new demand and also the new supply that we have. So this is an issue that we are facing with water management. So this is the damage and that make the country, so instead of 5%, we drop to 3%. So we are trying to link the water account with the GDP and link with the flood and drought and loss and impact to GDP. This is some relationship that we go on by sector and by area and which province in the country. So these are some fundamental data that we have. So in the future, we try to predict the future demand and future supply, and also with the climate change, we can see some hotspot that may have some big impact for the future. So this is a basis that we will use for the future water resource planning to have a better water secure and also better economic growth. That there are some instruments that we did. So Nan is one. This is a Bangkok, and then we have two big water basins. So we study one as a sample that contribute maybe about 40% of the raw water in the dry season to the capital. So the changing of the water in this area will affect the capital water also. First, we have the problem of the deforestation, and we study in the past 40 years and we found that the change of the hydrograph before with the forest, this is a with forest, without forest, this is a unit hydrograph that changed. So we found that the change of the peak is higher and also the time higher, where then the low flow, there will go sudden drop. So this is a pattern that we found from the change of the reforestation effect to the hydrograph to the big dam that we have. So with that also we can go by each community that which one have more impact for water deficit in the future, especially in the Nan Basin itself. And with the climate change, we can find that the water sources within the basin and the contribution to the downstream, especially to the capital, how affect to the capital. This is linked to the future water security. And we found that the contribution of this will be 40%, and this is 40%, 20% each. Then in the future, they may have about -5% of the supply, and they have more water demand. So there are some risks to have more insecure water for the downstream if we don't do anything. So this is what we found from our study. So we are trying to develop the security ratio by household, economic, urban. And when we compare with the whole country average, we can see that with what is hot and what is the strength and the weakness of the water security in each water basin. So this is the basis that we have to improve in the, say, like in Nan, the resilience issue will be weaker than the average, while we have the water security, raw water. So this is the index that we produce and then try to use as water planning in the future. Again, we join with iCharm and try to make use of the RI so that we can predict the water flood in the basin from the past and also in the future if we have GCM. So we can know that what is a potential flood and drought risk area that we may have in the future. So of this, we found that deforestation itself has induced the less water security for both Nan and Central Plain. And due to the climate change, the future inflow will have effect. So this will induce more water shortage and more floods. And we have to use more groundwater in the low area. So that's why we need to have more strategic to have the co-benefit measure between the Nan Basin and the Central Plain. So we come up with the scheme we call the forest, water and food. So how we can reduce the deforestation? We have to find to grow more forests. But to grow more forests, they have about 3 million people stay in the forest area, the forest. So we have to treat and work with the people there. So we are trying to provide small-scale water so that they can have food, so that we call it 60-40%. So if the village, the community agree with the agreement, so they will go back from the mountain 60% area, and we provide them 40%, and then with the small water reservoir, so that they can produce rice and some food. So with the whole, that they can have better revenue. So this is a kind of scheme that now we are trying to pursue. So the idea of reforestation comes. And so if we can have more forests. Now the forest in the past 50 years about 60%, and now it's 35%. So we target to be 40%. So it will be, the runoff will be the same as the last about 10 years ago. So with the climate change adaptation, so this scheme, if we can do a good reforestation, we can have a joint benefit between the basin people and also the Central Plain. So you can see that the Nan Basin is very important for water security. So we have to start with the community, how to work with the community so that we have a 60% and 40% agreement. So now the government are trying to prepare for the sandbox scheme. So by the law, usually we have a forest law, we have water law, we have the Ministry of Interior law. So the law will have the conflicting. People will live in forest, illegal people. They cannot have a deed because they are using the land illegally. So before the law of the forest law, he's an illegal man. But the ministry accept they are a citizen. But they cannot do the long-term plantation because this is illegal. So now government are trying to have we call sandbox scheme. So we have a special law so that it can overrule the normal law in the certain area. So the forest, we allow the people to stay there and have a special deed so that they can cultivate within 40 and 60% agreement. So they can come back to the forest and we can grow the tree. So this is another trial that Thailand are doing. We call it sandbox scheme. Next one. So this also we present to our royal princess. And in principle, the royal princess agree to move on. And now the Prime Minister also are preparing for the special deed to have the swift treatment as a pilot in this area. So we have to work with the community. So in this case, we can have one community. So this is a mountain. So before they are using all the mountain to grow vegetable or other crops. So we are now designing how much water they have. And then from this, how much revenue. And they have certain rural plot. So there are agreement to exchange the land between the mountainside and the downstream. So if this agree, and we have agreement within 10 years, and they're doing that, they can get the land here legally, and then they have to return this mountain land back to the government. So this is a scheme that we are testing in the Nan Basin, and they are starting already. So we help them to meeting and check water balance, how much you supply, demand, and water revenue. So this is the first community that we make agreement already. We have to do this 99 community, the whole province, so that we make sure that the agreement will be effective and the deforestation scheme can work. From this policy, now we are trying to enlarge this agreement. So now in Thailand, we are drafting a 20 years plan. And the water sector is one area. So I'm the chair of the working team to draft the master plan for next 20 years, what we have to do, so that we can have a better water management. So this is until we have to finish the master plan at the end of this September, the whole budget of 20 years. The master plan, this is the idea that when we starting, the Prime Minister said that when we do the water management, we must have the reference of the international index. So now we bring up 4 international index. One is water security, second is water security, and third one is water resilience, and fourth one is water government. So for the next 20 years, what we are targeting. So now look at Thailand. So Thailand now is level 2 of water management. So in next 20 years, if we going like the Korea or even Japan, it become number 4 was secure. So number 5 is the champion. No country now, even New Zealand is 4 something. So if you are number 5, it means you should be the best practice for the world. So now that's why if we want to grow in GDP, we should have the better water management. So this is one sample that we are targeting the country to be the more internationalized. So now in next 20 years, Thailand will try to have the water security level from level 2 to level 4. And then we are now doing each province water security index to see the strength and weakness of each province. And we have tried to make a water balance, integrate the water project with the socio-economic plan. And then we have a people participation so that they can talk and then try to have a joint focus. Second one is productivity. We found that in 1 cubic meter of Thailand, we produce the GDP about $5, which is very low, even compared with other ASEAN countries. So we are using water inefficiently. Now we are trying to use 10 times in next 20 years. So it should be $50 per US per 1 cubic meter. So this target. Now we are combining plus. So in one community, if they are doing only simple agriculture, they will have never win with the inflation rate of the country. Because inflation rate are mainly from the urban area. So now we are trying to plus on with some other small bioeconomy industry, small industries, and then plus with the tourists. So this kind of mixed development, we are now planning for all the countries so that people in the rural area can have other earnings apart from agriculture that we are trying to do. So they need some innovative. And resident, now we are doing the data that in the past 10 years, where is the flood? Where is the flood? So the target of the Sendai Declaration is to reduce 50% of the damage of life and asset. So now we are focused in the three areas, Bangkok central area, and also the Rayong, and also some certain area that we would like to focus so that we can reduce the damage of 50%. Water government also mainly is about they have 6.5 out of 10 under OECD criteria. So this is mainly about how to set the law, the responsibility, the rule. Now we are improving. Next December, I think we will have a Water Act passed to the Parliament. So this will be set rule. Up to now, water management is based on the cabinet decision. So now it will go to the law base. So that we will have more enforcement for the water management, but it needs community participation. So these are all the things that we are under planning, and then we are drafting to get this target. What will be the 5-year, 10-year, and 20 years? So we have a lot of projects from the government agency. Now we are trying to alignment and in the area and by the time. That if we want to meet the target, which project will answer to this kind of target? That is something that we are doing at the main time. So this kind of session, I think we will have a better way of the water management go along with socio-economic. In every 2 years, we organize the THA 2015 and 2017, and then 2019 we have another. So there are three objectives. One is the academic achievement, to present the new findings. The second one we are trying to do with the ASEAN country that to share. So the last 2 years we are introducing about the satellite application. So we have the workshop discuss what is the new management trend that we should do and some new technology. So we have this kind of meeting. So each country will have the country report, and then with both for executive and also academia. So we can have some joint research team together. And we also, next one, have this also funded by UNESCO. They provide a good speaker to us. So they have a good Persian product in the Central Asia. So they are now using Thailand as a base to promote this kind of done by the University of California. So we run and calibrate by the local. So we have this 2 years training together. And then other university in the area can make use of this free of charge, but they have to run by the calibration. So this is another UNESCO share activities, meeting, conference. We have the country-based data and idea exchange, and also the technical training together. So we have this kind of the report, and then we have the statement every 2 years. So the last 2 years we are focusing on the satellite. So we are a kind of a group that link with the academia and the government agency, and we have the young trainer together. So the university funded for the people to come from ASEAN countries. So it's a kind of AEC, the ASEAN Forum, that to go together. And we have this report together, and we have statement. So last year and this year, we will focus on nexus. So every 4 years, we are trying to change the topic that joint concern together, and we bring in the expert from outside. So like the satellite, maybe from California, or even the iCharm is RI. So it's a kind of the local capacity building. So each university, each country will have their own university head, so produce and work with the government agency. So as a July also, we work with other agency together. So this is things that we do because the topic change every 4 years. So now we are trying to ask from World Bank people to come and explain about SDG, how to apply. And then we have Nexus training this year. And next 2 years, we will move to SDG. So this is something that another forum, we are not fixed to the topic, but it's on the demand side that the ASEAN, because ASEAN have to be united in the same time. So I think we should have the same concept and similar tool so that we can work together in the 10 countries in the long term. So this is another type of the network that we produce. So as a concluding, I think we are on the UC side, but we have a backup to the UC, so the country policy planning at the moment. However, because of the change of the both demand and supply, now we need more research backup for the policy setting because change is so fast. And then the development now should be mixed. Not only agriculture itself, but it mixed with agriculture, services, and industry. This is a mixed mode in the country now that we have to develop. Then the new knowledge and tools may be needed and need modify to the ASEAN countries. This is a nation. So international collaboration is very essential so that we can have faster learning and so adaptation to the local conditions. So this is next THA 2019 that we will have in next January. And we hope that if you are interested about the climate change, Nexus, and SDG, you can have a good listen to the many presentations, and also country report, and also some training. So Kyoto UC will provide about the GZM bias correction training. And we are discussing with Professor Makomoto about the Nexus training, how you can prepare the Nexus planning, water and food and together. There are some many cases that we did in the last 2 years. We present the cases and we can have a training to use this kind of some model that you can make use of Nexus to combine with your water management or energy management or food management. So you are welcome to join this international conference. Thank you very much.